Hello, Miracle.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good
Sorry.
evening. Yeah. I think I don't know how many students you're expecting. Are we to give some few minutes to start, or we should just go straight?
I think we should start. They'll join
Okay.
us when they're in. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. No problem. So, good evening, all. So we'll be taking facility maintenance planning and record. So for those of us that religiously follow the class and those that are putting their what they've been taught into practice, you know that we've talked about AC maintenance and some couple of topics. Then we talked about the strategy you need to adopt. But for this class, we are going to be taking facility maintenance planning and record. Why is this important? So I'll first of all do brief introduction. So we're going to go through my title, facility profile, keeping ground rules, outline then modules. So I'm a senior facility manager where I presently work. I've had over 10 years in facility management experience, trained as an HVAC person both locally and internationally, and I've worked on major projects in Nigeria. I'm a graduate from Abrusali University, studied mechanical engineering. My interest for maintaining now led me to pick up facility as a course. Then I got certified in Pro FM credentials. Experience gained with these companies are Mandela's, Michael Amon, MEACON Global PFI, and the present place I work now. Then the modules we are going to take, the outlines, introduction, the key consideration, 2, maintenance planning process, then 3, monitoring and evaluation. Then maintenance record, work order capturing, then and tracking, then verifying facility inventory. So we start with introduction. Or let me just give a little, sometimes when you put your maintenance plan in order, sometimes you need record. Why do we need record? We humans, we tend to forget a lot of things. So that's why you see people write on walls, people write on their hands, but in our modern time, people write on paper, and better, in more advanced still, people store information on the cloud through Google, OneBox, or whatever that is available at your disposal. So why are you doing this? You need some certain record to be kept for you. So we start with the introduction, the key consideration you need to consider. What is maintenance planning? A maintenance activities workflow. A plan, this could be any of your definition. A plan on how to carry out the maintenance. A process of carrying out a scheduled service. Develop tasks needed for maintenance needed to maintain a facility. So what are we talking about in this? So any steps you put in order to ensure that an equipment does not break down, you don't have emergencies, you don't have a failure on site. Those steps are what you call plan. And you putting plans together is a deliberate effort. You can't put steps together and you just keep the book or you keep the plan somewhere. It's something you intended to carry out on site to ensure that your site is running smoothly. Like I've mentioned in my class, the things you maintain in your building are numerous. Your gate needs to be maintained. Your security wire around your building need to be maintained. Maintain might not be, you physical check. You understand? When was this installed? Let us put it as part of our project next year to replace all this security wire. Then you talk about your pest control, because if your pest control is not effective enough, those rats you have refused to give food, they will definitely start eating up your cable and cause you problem. Then what other things you need to maintain? Your water system, your water treatment system, your sewage treatment system. Then you need to measure your pump. Your pump need to be maintained. The filter media need to be replaced. Your lift, the electric motor you have on site, your generator, your diesel tank, your water storage tank, all things that make your building work and all that you must plan for. So when writing your plan, you must make sure every asset that is in your contract must be planned for. Everything must be planned for. Some are periodic, some are monthly, some are quarterly, and some runs throughout the year. So when you are putting your plan together, all these steps needs to be considered. So these are the definition you can have. You can have it in layman term. Planning is steps, a deliberate step put together to ensure my equipment does not break down. So we are not teaching you to be a mechanical facility person. You need to know what you are doing. You need to be conscious of what you are doing. You understand? Then we talk of life cycle view planning. So what do we talk about life cycle view? First of all, you need to consider the facility audit or conditional assessment. Before you take over a site, the first thing you do is do audit. Either before you take over the site or the contract is running, but you being employed as a new facility manager, you need to do your audit because you need to understand what you are taking over. Because I heard one or two facility manager complain on the line. People are complaining that my generator keep failing. Is it the quality of the fuel? Is it this? These are things you did not take into consideration. You took the job because the money is fine. But getting into it, you start receiving call from your clients. Even your boss have called you that you have not performed well, that the FM that came before you was better than you, all kinds of talk to demoralize you. So you need to take into consideration the audit of all the assets with your building. How do you achieve it? You use a company or you use an experienced technician among your team for each asset that they have full understanding about. So you take those ones. Then the next one is asset register. You might ask, why is asset register important? Very, very important for you to have asset register. When you go to some building, you see that some laptops, some building have some number code. Just imagine you have about 3 generator running on your site. One have failed. So in the process of discussing with your technician, which of the generator failed, the man now have difficulty describing the generator. He will tell you, hey, sir, you know that generator, when you are coming from the passage, the second one from the left side, or the third one from the left side, he doesn't know where you are taking your reference point from. You understand? So all those local way of describing things should not occur if you have asset register in place. Give them a number. If out of the 5 generator 1 has issue, when you say, sir, generator 1 is giving us issue, when you are doing your check, you can easily identify which of the generator is generator 1 and you treat it accordingly. Then you also go to a building. In a city room, they are having about 4 ACs, all Panasonic, all the same capacity. So when your staff is now describing the one that have issue, he said the one that is close to the TV.
Hello.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you,
We
sir.
can hear you, sir.
Can we please mute? I thought the person is asking a question. So can we please all mute so that we don't interrupt the class, please? Thank you very much. So when the person is now saying, which of the generator has fault, AC has fault, Oga is having about 4 in the large room. You now say the one close to the TV, that is not a good way to describe. You just use number code. In the city room, you can use AC1, AC2, AC3, and probably you put in city room. So there are code you can use to identify those ones. If they are on first floor, you might use first floor 01 city room ST, and you narrow it down to the level, the location where the AC is located. So when you are doing your report, somebody that is not there may see the report, getting to that location, we know you are talking about AC in first floor, room 1, city room 01. It goes straight to the AC and treat it. So asset register is very important for you to have full understanding, full description of each of your assets on your side. Not that alone. If you go to some churches, you even see that they put some naming on chairs. Why is that so? You have about 3 chairs within the same locality. So when they have more people in the church, you see people from one church going to pick seats. So because they are identical seats, how do you differentiate it? It's just the naming that you can use to differentiate. I'm only using this as an example. So if you don't have asset register on your side, please, after this training, please deploy a method of having asset register in your building. Then the next one you talk about maintenance tasks required for each asset. After you have identified this asset, you create a file. And in that file, you have all the assets related to AC, different from that of generator, different from that of your pumps, different from your motor, different from your elevator, different from every other asset. You differentiate them. And after you differentiate them, what are the maintenance plan that you have for them? Then you also, in that for AC, you might want to have a method statement. You might want to have a checklist. You might want to have a schedule for all the AC maintenance in your file in a more standard way, well arranged. You understand? So you must have that maintenance tax required for each of the assets. Like we all know that AC is maintained every quarter. And like I said, not religiously follow that. There are some sites that require monthly, and there are some that require 2 weeks within a month or twice in a month to get their AC because of the factors surrounding your AC installation. For your generator, you might want to use 200, 250 hours, depending if the generator is old or new. Then for your filter media, do you do it every 6 months? Do you do it once in a year? Do you do it every quarter? Those are things you need to do. But there are some things that you need to do daily, which is backwashing of your filter to further remove iron and make it new again for you to reuse. So all those tasks must be listed in each of this file on site. Then the next is time, then schedule for maintenance activities. Time is important for your maintenance, and timing also your site also determine the kind of plan you need to do. If you are in residential environment, if you are in a corporate office, if you are in an event center, all these things have their direct impact, but don't forget, timing is of essence. Every AC that needs to be maintained every quarter, you need to follow that quarterly maintenance. Don't let it spill over into another quarter. If you have close to about 100 AC within a place, you can make a 1 or 2 weeks plan to ensure that all the ACs are maintained. So 2 weeks plan, that is 14. Calculate how many ACs can be maintained per day. Then you tax your staff. If you need more hands, you can call for your team in other side to come and help. You can even tell the electrician, if you have various technicians on your side, to assist the AC person for your AC maintenance. So you must program your timing. Then for your lift maintenance, if you are sourcing, you also need to time, and you program when you need to give notice to your vendor to come to site to maintain. If you don't time, there's every possibility the timing might skip you. So maintenance you need to do monthly, you now forgot. Over 2-3 months, AC, your lift have not been maintained. And if there are issues, you could be sued. Your company could be sued. So timing must be of essence. Like I tell my other colleagues and students in the class, there are various ways you can ensure that timing. We human beings, we are occupied or preoccupied by a lot of activities. So we have phone, we have calendar presently. Your calendar is, your Google Calendar is not just for a meeting. You can actually turn it to your PPM. When you program all your asset maintenance on your calendar, you can even give them a week notice that remind me a week before this day for the maintenance. Immediately your alarm rings up AC maintenance for next week. You started sending notice to all the tenants. If you're in a residential area, if you are in a corporate building, you send notice to your staff or your client that maintenance will be done at so time next week. They will thank you for being proactive. So you can use your Google Calendar to push for that if you don't have the resources to buy. Then one other thing you can also do, you can have on your notice board an A3 paper containing all your planned work on your notice board. So what you need to do is to ensure yourself your team, your admin need to be checking every day, Monday to Friday. If they are working throughout the week and they have resident in that place, they could be checking every day to see the tasks they need to do for that day and probably send an alarm or notice for work to be done. Then the last one is a replacement plan. You might ask, is this necessary? Yes, it is necessary. Every equipment does not work 100% forever. There are times you repair and there are times you replace. Those that in fact have plan for replacement are the best facility manager you can think of. Every asset in your building, you should have a plan of about 10, 15, or 20 years for maintenance plan for each of these equipment. You cannot use any asset forever. After you buy an equipment, the equipment must have what? An expiration date. Or there might be a new technology that is saving you more on energy and you need to dispose this. And there might be generator that consume less fuel than the present ones you have. So somehow, somewhere, you might have plan for replacement. So putting all these 5 items together, you get what they call the life cycle view of your planning. The maintenance planning horizon. So in maintenance, we have what they call the long-term and the short-term. Short-term maintenance planning could involve a 3 years, and you need to be what? Specific in this design. Then there must be budget and there must be availability of what? Cash flow, either from your stakeholder, from your client, or from your company. There are some facility you go, client pays you annually for all the services for the year. And there are some they pay periodically for the year, and there are some they pay per demand, and there are some that they separated. Those that are separated might be PPM, and some are subject to you notifying your client of major repair or major replacement. So whatever the case may be, you might have less than 3 years for a short plan. Then you must be specific in your planning. Then there must be available budget. There's possibility that there's budget and there's no cash flow. And OPEX, operational expenditure, that must be involved. These are just short term. Maybe you are replacing a compressor, they are short term. You are replacing maybe just one AC, might be a short term. You are replacing maybe a pump that has gone bad. Those are short term plan. Then when you are going to a long term plan, which is usually above 3 years, you are talking of a general and conceptual investment analysis needs to be done, and their capital expenditure. So what are examples of capital expenditure? Upgrade of your swimming pool, upgrade of your lift, replacement of your what? Your generator, replacement of all AC within the estate or within a particular building block that is running beyond a certain amount of money. You understand? In this long term, you need to plan what they call ROI, return on investment. Because once money is given to you, you must plan how you recoup the money back. Sometimes, if you are in an estate, you might put that as part of your rent so that you can recover back. You don't put it as a full amount. You might calculate, okay, let me calculate the return for 3 years. So you divide it by the number of clients you have within the estate. How much do they pay? You might end up having maybe about 500,000 be paid by each of the tenants within the building. And you might be surprised you can pay it for 1 or 2 years. And there are some capital expenditure you calculate in that format. But when you are planning a long term, you can't take that decision alone. You need to involve your stakeholder. You need to involve your boss, your line manager, if you have one. You need to ensure that the estate is aware of what you are planning and how you are going to recover the money back. Then we talk about operational. When you talk about operational scope of service, first of all, most of us don't have scope as an FM. You do a role. There's no clear scope of what you have to do. When a request comes today, maintain this AC, you go and maintain. There's no clear scope of what you need to do. So that clear scope gives you an idea of how to even plan your budget. It gives you an idea on the strategy you need to do. It gives you an idea on how you need to plan. There are some sites you get to. There are some estates. The tenants, they don't pay for AC maintenance. They have people that maintain for them. They don't pay. And there are some areas that their plan of paying you is quarterly. There are some that are annual. So you need to know the scope of service and how you are going to get your cash flow. That needs to be clearly understood. Then, what is your service objectives? What are objectives? To ensure that your AC is maintained professionally. After you've gotten this objective clearly, you can now deploy the kind of tools you need to bring on site. Am I going to use an in-house or am I outsourcing? If you are using in-house, then you need to buy a set of tools. If you are outsourcing, then you expect the company to have tools for the AC maintenance. Your generator also. Every asset within that place, you need to have a clear objectives. Your generator must not break down. That could be your objective. The lift must not shut down. That could be your objective. So you start putting steps in place. If you know that you cannot meet up with this objective, you can now have an engagement with the source company that, since we don't have expertise in this line, can one of your staff be resident in our building? We pay for his services. So that could be one of your objectives, because you are trying to ensure the lift does not break down. You have an event center where you have people coming in every festive period. Your escalator must not break down, and your escalator must not trap people. That could be your objective. There must not be any trapping in your lift, your escalator. So in order to ensure this, you put a plan in place to ensure any sign of any equipment or part that is giving you sign of failure, you don't repair. What do? You do total replacements. And on your side, because you don't want to fail in your responsibility or keeping the objective, you also make requests to have backup tools, backup parts for replacement on site, because it will lead to fatality if your lift break down. It could lead to fatality if your escalator traps somebody's leg while they are moving up or moving down. That could be a negative impact on that event center or a shopping mall or wherever the escalator is planned. So your objective must be clearly understood. Then tasks and action. What are the tasks we need to carry out? I've talked about it in the objective. Then what are the action? The action you need to take is who handles this thing after the objective is clearly stated. Am I using an in-house person? And if I'm using an in-house, what capacity of person do I need on site? Who do I use to get the best person in the market? Yes, if you put an application online on LinkedIn or whatever, Jobberman or whatever, at the end of the day, you see a lot of people throwing their CV in. How do I get the person that can fulfill this job? You can tell the person to tell you about work he has done before, share you scope and places he has worked, and give you a reference number for you to make call and ask if this guy does this same work and what is the efficiency of this guy on this respective work. So that can give you a better fit that this person is suitable for the job. The other thing you can also do is to say, no, I don't want to use an in-house. I don't want to pass through the stress of employment. Let me outsource. So those are deliberate actions you need to put in place so that the objective will be met and your scope, you are fulfilling them. Then remedial action. Remedial actions are what happens if this thing fails. Do I have a replaceable part on site? On my contract with the vendor, did I state that if we call the vendor for any emergencies or any thing on site, do they get to site within 6 hours? Do they get to site within 12 hours? Do they get to site within 24 hours? You need to state this on your contract. Based on this, you can now be measuring the performance of your vendor. Sometimes when you have an elaborate plan on site, your choices of in-house or your choices of vendor could actually be a problem. You call a vendor to respond to an emergency. There's a lift breakdown on site. Somebody is trapped. You have tried all knowledge, you know, the trip is not opening. You call your vendor. They told you they are in Uyo. They cannot come till next week. Are they telling you the person will remain in the lift till next week? So you need to start changing your strategy. What can you do? That's why it is better when a site is being built, the FM team need to be on ground. The technicians need to be on ground. The handyman needs to be on ground to check the level of installation so that they will gain more experience on how to do little things on site before help comes. So routine maintenance are things you do regularly. It could be cleaning of your filters, physical check of your equipment, whether they are working, they are running smoothly, sound, you check the sound, you check the vibration analysis, you use equipment to test, to check and measure to see that whatever you are doing on site is following standard process. Because just imagine you are a facility manager in a stadium and Nigeria is having an important match. At the nick of the goal, the light went off. The ball actually entered the net, but nobody saw it. The facility manager has caused a problem for that match. You understand? This might be laughable, you understand, but it could happen. So what have you ensured? When you watch Premiership, you see that more than 99% of the time, you see that there's no breakdown during transmission because they have backup upon backup that are placed on inverters, placed on solar systems, some on generator. You understand? You don't notice any breakdown while they are running. Or you are in a ship that is always traveling for 4 months on the sea. Then your generator now break down. There's no way you can go to land and call somebody in. You need to have parts. You need to have a technician that can fix and replace the generator. If not, you guys will be left hanging in the sea for more than a year, 2 years, 3 years before help finally arrives. So all this deliberate action, routine check, is to ensure your asset is running smoothly without breakdown. And if this is done, you cannot put a cost, because once all maintenance plans are religiously followed, intentionally followed with a plan not to allow them to fail, you can now put premium price on your asset. There are some building you go to, you see that they have this green, there's a language they use. I think 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel, 3-star hotel, because they fulfill some certain things. Nothing goes wrong in that building. You understand? This gives you a clear idea that you are doing the right thing. Then you must have a time scale for it, more than the frequency of check, frequency of getting things done. All those things must be measurable within time. And you must look for a staff that is competent to walk around the building. Then resource requirement. Resource could be manpower and could be finance. There's possibility that sometimes your plans are there, but there's no problem with cash flow. Your clients are not paying your rent. They are not doing this, they are not doing that. Do you know the measure you put in place to ensure there's cash flow is part of your planning? Because if you are in a residential environment and your clients are not paying for rent and they are enjoying all your service, you need to put a notice, a letter sent to them, or in the meeting, you let them see the letter and the action you want to take. Any defaulters not paying their rent, you can actually call them off the grid, cut off their water supply, cut off their power, but a notice must be sent, and all the key stakeholder in the estate must approve before you start implementing, because they are the one that will rescue you. Because when a chief that is well known in the society somehow default and you go and cut off his power or water supply, probably the man is bathing, there's no water, there's soap all over his eye, and he has an important meeting to go to that day, you have caused a problem for that man. You understand? So when the key stakeholders are involved and they approve your action, then you are justified when you take action. Because if there are no cash flow, all these things I'm talking about are just jargon. You want to bring in an outsourced vendor, how do you pay them? You want to bring in an in-house staff, how do you pay his salary? How do you purchase the tools? How do you do this? How do you do that? So you need that in place. Then performance indicator. You need to check if you are using in-house person. How do you check the person performance? Timing. When they go to fix AC, how long does it take them to fix AC if they have a repair? How long does it take them to maintain an AC? If an AC is to be maintained within 1 or 2 hours, and the guy is using 6 hours for AC maintenance, and he has 100 to maintain, he's already failing in a KPIs. So your close monitoring will give you an idea, this guy is not competent for this task. You take a decision before the situation turn into what? Escalation. Then the other one should be strategic. You have vision and mission. This is always done by the management. Then you consider the environment, because there are some action you take that can actually have direct impact on your environment. You say you are putting plan in place, yet the environment is suffering. A good example is those of us that maintain generator. Our vendor will end up pouring the used oil, the oil that you have removed from the generator, you see them putting them in a drain, in your gutter. You see them, your sewage, because it's not properly treated, they start pumping the liquid into the environment. They smell everywhere, there are flies, and that could kill the aquatic life if it is flowing into the sea or the river, wherever you are. So the environment must not be impacted because you are trying to keep up. Then your generator, what is the level of carbon dioxide being pumped into the environment? There are some generators, when you start them up, you don't see clearly. It's as if it is snowing. The snow is snowing, it is Harmattan period. You understand? Your generator must burn very clean. And don't forget also, noise can also impact the environment, most especially when you live in an environment where you have maybe big guys living within that location. So what do you need to do? You need to put a sound reducer along that generator to reduce the sound. Then situation analysis could also be an action you need to take. Situation can determine the kind of maintenance plan you need to take. You understand? So that is self-explanatory. When it says situation analysis, it could be something happen on site. Maybe your swimming pool, maybe you have some iron content, somehow flow into it. What action do you need to take to ensure that this thing is corrected within hours? And what kind of notice do you need to tell your client that the swimming pool should not be used because of what has happened? During your test, you discover that there's an excess of chlorine, excess of this that can have direct impact. You send notice on time, then you stop them using it, then you give a date when you are going to fix all these things. So some situation actually give you what you need to do. Profile of service. Profile of service also can be a strategy you need to drop on site. Profile could be in terms of your workers, you could be in terms of service you need to deploy, then the quality that you are expecting from your vendor could also determine the one you want to pay. If you go out into the market, we have different companies that maintain generator. There are some that specifically maintain a particular generator like CAT, Cummins, you talk of GMG and the rest. And there are some that maintain all kinds of generator. You might want to check. If anything goes wrong in my generator, does this person have the capacity to replace a particular component and then wait to collect his money after 30 days? You need to check. There are some vendors that can handle things less than 200,000. And there are some vendors that cannot handle things less than 1 million. There are some vendors that can actually handle things of 5 million and wait for maybe 3 months or 6 months to collect their money. So if you are putting that pressure on somebody that cannot even handle things of 200, you know you're already in problem on your site. Then what are the goals and objectives? You need to specify the goals you want to achieve. There's a site I also work in. One of the objectives for the site is that light must not go beyond 5 seconds. So in order to ensure that, there are a lot of electrical components we put in place. So that component, what it does, if there is light from PACN, the generator is not working. It does that by itself. So it is an automatic switch that occurs between the PACN and your generator. So this component needs to be installed. So with that particular component, you are meeting up to the objective of that site. The same could be applied to every other component within your site. Links to corporate plan. Sometimes there are some corporate plan that will include some, like mobile now. You see that from the inception of that Mobil then, because I was involved in one of their projects back then. They already have planned that every 15 or 20 years, a certain equipment needs to be replaced, whether they are working or not working. So it could be part of the plan. So what they do, they offset all those old equipment and make purchases for new one. Their aim is that the building should not run down. Then as an FM also, another good example for this corporate plan is your painting of your building. You might ask, do you need to paint your building, or I need to use marble, or do I need to use cladding? So if you paint, you know that Lagos is peculiar to acidic rain because of the large volume of carbon being ejected into the environment. So your carbon dioxide being injected into the environment from your car, factories, and every other place goes into the sky. When they come back, when rain falls, some of them have direct impact on the what? On the building, and eat up some of the paint. That's why you see some building look older than their age. But when you go into the building, it said the building is fine, but the outer part is not beautiful. So that can affect the value of that property. So from the corporate plan, they could tell you from the outset, we want marble. So when you have marble within your building, you know that your painting is little. Then if you say you want to use cladding, you know that you need to install your what? Your cleaning equipment that can be brought down from your roof to ensure that this thing is fine. All those things must be part of the planning. If this is there, you now need to make plan to incorporate it. Then methodology and strategy. Methodology are processes you need to follow. It's more like a work method statement to execute it. So your generator, what method are you using? The one I use on my site. Over time, we discover that when the people that maintain our generator come to site, they will come and check the generator. They will discover the oil is still okay. They will discover the filters are still okay. But on plan, we need to replace them, whether they are good or bad. So what they do, what we are paid for, they will still go with it, retaining the old one. So what my company did was to now buy directly from them all the materials from the generator and only pay for labor for maintaining the generator. So with that, we have control over the consumables for the generator. If they are not used, it's within our custody, not their custody. So you might want to find a strategy that works for your site in respective of your generator, your AC, your lead, or whatever. You find a strategy that works for you. The plan will include detailed description of each maintenance task. So when you are doing your AC, you must have a laid down procedure. You don't just tell a company to come to site to come and maintain. There are no procedure to follow. Some companies just come in on site, they just maintain only your filter and they go. You need to clean your external equipment, your outdoor unit. You need to use your pressure washing machine. You need to measure the voltage being delivered. You need to check the insulation. You need to check the capacitor. You need to pressure wash the indoor unit. There are some components you can wear on your indoor unit. You pressure wash inside, then the water flow through that gadget into a bucket, which you can take outside. So if those procedures are not laid down, the company just come to your site, do just one little thing and leave. Because over time, that your vendor or your staff would actually affect the functionality of what? Of your AC. Frequency of performing each task. In as much as you are giving frequency of maintaining your AC, you need to do a close check on each of these tasks. If AC is going to be done quarterly, you must really just follow it. Then your generator must bring to your notice. If you say you are using your generator every 200 hours or 250 hours, the time varies. You now need to do timing. What we do for some sites, you can have generator that can actually give you information of when the generator maintenance is due. And there are some technicians that manually write this thing down. Once they take light, they take notice of the time and they begin to count. When it's getting close to 200 hours, you send notice ahead. 200 hours you can maintain your generator twice in a month if your estate is relying on generator constantly. Why am I saying that? If you don't have PACN supplied and your clients need power supply, then fine. In my estate, they need light 24 hours. That is one of the objectives. So because of that, we must ensure there's light 24 hours. Because I've also worked in an estate where the tenant, I don't know, sorry to use the word, if they don't have much fun, and in our local term, we'll say maybe they are poor. We won't say that. You understand? They shut their lights. They only on light around 5 in the evening. So what most of them do, they have their personal generator. So when you put off the normal generator that service the estate, they now on their personal generator or their solar during those periods. Then in the evening, the light is supplied till in the morning. So that is the strategy that works for that side. I don't know which site you are running. I don't know the strategy you are using, but ensure that you have a plan and you are constantly following it. That define the frequency of performing each of the site. Then resource planning. Resource planning, like I said, has to do with people, then has to do with what? Your cash flow. Equipment condition also matters when you are making your plan. Is it an old equipment? Is it a brand new equipment? Even if it's brand new, there are some equipment that still gives you problem. So you need to put that in your planning. Type of maintenance tasks to be carried out. You need to put that in your planning. Task delivery timeline. How long should it take? If you say an AC is quarterly and you are having 100 units, your lift is supposed to be maintained and you are having about 4 or 5 within this lift. What is the timeline for this thing to be completed? Then you talk about tools and equipment required. For an in-house, you talk of tools, but when you are outsourcing, you don't need much tools because the outsource company comes with all their gadgets, comes with all their equipment. But if you are using an in-house, you need what? A tools for your checking, for your monitoring, and for your record. Then care for the equipment and system needs to be part of your plan. There are some equipment that have physical defects that you can easily be cleaning. And there are some that are prone to rodents. If you have plenty rats within your site, that could be a serious problem. That's why your pest control should be able to reduce any impact on all assets within your building. The rodent can actually cause damage in generator, can cause damage in your AC because they will start eating up your cables. And if they eat the cables and your supply and incoming current the cable touches each other, could lead to a lot of problems. So your plan is to ensure that you block every entrance into those places where you have your critical assets. Then use your pest control to effectively control pests coming to your site. Purpose of the maintenance plan. The purpose is for the maintenance plan is facility functioning safety, effectively and efficiently. Once the plans are put in place, the right resources are deployed, and the right approvals have been gotten, then your facility will be safe, will be effective, and will be what? Efficient. Reduce the possibility of hazard or accident. Because I just mentioned now, when rat is constantly going to where you install your armored cable, they are eating it gradually. That could actually lead to a lot of fatality. There could be explosion on your site. So if all those things are well controlled, you control hazard and you control accident. And part of your planning, don't forget EHS. Somebody might ask, how do I reduce this EHS? What is the link between EHS and this? You need sign, safety sign on site. There are areas that every Dick and Harry must not go into. You must put danger, only authorized personnel to go in. If you are doing your AC maintenance, because you are going to wash, do not wash where the floor are too smooth. And if you must, please wet floor. Give notice to your clients. Very important. Then your housekeeping also is part of your plan. No vendor, no staff should come to site After they have done their maintenance plan or done their maintenance, they will now I used to call it I was here. You now start seeing people's hand with oil on your wall that you just painted. Or you start seeing oil on the floor. So if they want to maintain on my side, I always tell them come with a nylon. Or you buy the nylon, you spread on the floor. Let them do whatever they want to do. You can dispose the nylon at the end, whereby keeping your floor still clean. And there are some people that does their maintenance on top of your lawn, your grasses. Because if you continue to do that, oil getting into your grass will eat up and kill your grasses. That will not give a perfect view or a perfect green floor that you yearn for within your estate. So all these little things I've mentioned, your signage is part of your planning. You need to show direction, you need to show planning, you need to warn people, you need to show what people need to do when they get to a particular point. Even for your fire safety, your fire extinguisher is part of it. Because if there's fire, please raise an alarm, can be placed at different location in that place. Please put your gas outdoor. Do not store gas in a place. That is also a safety sign. Then training is also part of your plan, because you can't carry people on site with a very expensive equipment, and the person, because he lack knowledge, he end up blowing up things in your site or killing himself on your site because he was not following no place. You see your technician, sometimes they see that your electrical panel room is very cold. They will go and sleep where they have transformer, and some of people roll when they sleep. God forbid they go and touch a live cable that they didn't know that they've not completed work while they are sleeping. That leads to fatality on site. So this thing, you must write it in, because when investigations start, by seeing that sign there, a facility manager have absolved himself from any blame. It was clearly written, no authorized personnel should go in. So what are you doing there? Then you must ensure every visitors are trained and inducted coming to your site. So those things are part of your planning. Then I also talk about reduced service disruption. Those are the importance. This thing I've just stated are not part of, but I felt I should add it. Then once a site is well maintained, you reduce service disruption. People come to your site, they don't notice any breakdown. Do you know when your facility is working so perfectly? Do you know your client is the one that will market for you? They will say that building is one of the fantastic buildings that we have ever gone into. Their power is beautiful. Their charges is nice. I've never had issues that their generator are broken down. We've never had this. We've never had that. They start marketing for you. They bring people into the building. But when you start having a lot of service failure, the same client will also demarket you. So take note of this. Preservation of the facility system. Once things is properly maintained, the asset lifespan is extended. Reduce maintenance costs. The essence of maintenance also reduce, because if your maintenance plans are not well done, then be expecting repairs, be expecting replacement. Extend the useful life of an asset. We've talked about this. Optimum availability and reliability of a facility system. The system is readily available. Then I also want to add that, do you know your tools is part of your maintenance plan? You might want to ask, how can tools be maintained like spanner and the rest? After use, it must be clean. There are some technicians that will rub every part of your tools with oil. Good storage system is also part of the plan. You can't buy tools running into hundreds of thousands of naira, and every week one is missing because there's nowhere to store it. You must have where to store, and you must have record of who took it and if the person returned it. Because if you don't protect your tools, you will end up buying another one after 6 months or 1 year. Make informed decision on your system. Repair, replace, or renewal. First of all, you ask, when do you repair a piece of equipment? When you discover that that particular equipment can still be reused, you talk about what? Repairs. Then you talk about replacement when that particular part or equipment have exhausted the efficiency that you can get out of it. Then you replace. Then renewal is about service. You could have a contract renewed by your service provider. You can have, there are some staff that are not full staff. They are on contract basis. Then you use renewal to control it. If a particular company is doing very fine, you renew their contract. There are some businesses you go into, the contract is signed for 3 years. There are some signed for 5 years. While some that are afraid, they always do 1 year renewal. So I believe that is clear. Please, you can ask your question at the end of the class. Benefit of maintenance planning. Easier to budget for future maintenance. Cost saving. Reduce cost for overtime. Better maintenance workflow. Faster execution of planning, because if you have a technician that knows what he's doing and there's a part that has fault on site, before you know, the guy bring this thing. He knows what a part has fault. He knows how to troubleshoot. Then, because you have a backup part on site, you go straight there, install then you save a lot of time and cost. Then, a faster execution of plan and action, decrease in equipment downtime. The equipment will not fail you. Reduction in major repairs on equipment, that is straightforward. Reduce premature replacement of parts and component. Equipment that you are hearing some little sound, you don't wait till when the sound start increasing. You fix it immediately, either weekends or at close of work, before the sound increases. You are using a lift. The lift, each time you go into the lift, you see the lift vibrating. You say, don't worry, my enemies are after me. This has nothing to do with, no, Nigeria, we are very spiritual. You don't need to spiritualize things as an FM. It's good to pray, but for an FM, there are some intentional plan you need to put in place to check. You put a record in place. Please, once you notice anything about our lift, please call this line or send an email to this. Some of your occupants might be your eye to some asset that you don't have visibility over. You can't be everywhere at every time. So if you put some control measures in place, they can get you informed if they are hearing some sound. If the water coloration from your treatments is changing, they notify you. Then you know what to do. Then your water tank, you need to check the frequency of cleaning. Your diesel tank, you need to check the frequency of cleaning. There are equipment that you can place on your diesel to further clean your diesel away from dirt, away from water. So you need to have those as part of your plan. Because if this is not done, there's tendency that you will knock out your generator and you'll be looking between 50 to 80 million for replacement if you are using a bigger one. And if you are using a massive one that are running 200,000 kVA, we'll be talking about 100 millions of naira to replace. Just from one little mistake from you, you end your company spending millions of naira to what? To replace. Guide to maintenance planning. Determine the scope of the maintenance program. First of all, from your SLA, what are the equipment you have to maintain? AC, your lift, the water treatment plant, the sewage treatment plant, your swimming pool, your gym. I've not mentioned gym. Some sites have gym on site. You understand? So if you have gym on site, all those equipment are subject to maintenance because they can fail. Then those that have sauna on site, those tools and equipment used there are subject to maintenance. Anything you don't use for a long time tends to corrode or show sign of rust. So your constant maintenance, keep those places new, keep the equipment running without them failing. So you need to identify all the scopes. So once you have identified the scope, you will now know the action you need to take to get them running smoothly without breakdown. Set timeline. What is the frequency? Resource allocation. Do you need to manpower? Do you need an in-house or do you need to outsource? Develop a maintenance checklist. Checklists are detailed plan of what you need to check on a particular asset. Be generator, swimming pool, all these things I've listed. There are things you need to check. If it is, I'll give an example of your water treatment plant. What is the coloration of your water treatment when you check in the morning? Then you must carry out a pH value of your water. you must do your physical check. You must check your pump is running. You must check your backwash. You must check this. You must check that. All those will be ticked on your checklist. Daily basis, your technician must do this. If they don't, the checklist, if the checklists are not marked or judiciously done, your client will start escalating and sending email for poor what? Service. Develop a maintenance checklist, then create a maintenance schedule. Talked about that. You have an A3 paper to create a schedule for your maintenance. You can also use your Google Calendar to push for this. Most of us put, the Google Calendar work miraculously. Those of us that are married or have children, when you put your wife's birthday on Google, even when you have forgotten, you see an alarm comes up. It reminds you sometimes, depending on how you program it, it reminds you about a day to that day or some few hours to that time. So you can easily put a call through to your wife or call your daughter, or you order for a cake. While you are coming home, you deliver. So it makes you more productive for that planning. So your Google Calendar can also be a tool in your hand. So these are what we are giving you on our training. Then maintenance record. So every maintenance needs to be documented. Like I said from the beginning, every asset needs to have their own what? File. Either you have it online or you have it in your box file. They must be well identified through your asset register. They must be well labeled following a certain ISO standard. Then all your record, the latest one must be at the top, while the old one should be at the time, and you should have plan for archiving. We'll talk more in that. So that your record gives you idea of how often a particular AC maintenance have been done. You understand? Can the person please mute? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, please.
Yes, we can hear you.
So for that record, your generator maintenance in a year, when you are doing a summary report to send to your estate, you can tell them your generator was maintained for 5 times in a year. AC was maintained this number of times in a year. Your water treatment system was maintained this time in a year. If somehow you skip a maintenance plan, maybe because there was serious riot, there was a protest around your end, the technician could not come, and over time you guys missed that maintenance, you must have it on your record. And your stakeholders must be aware that that maintenance was not carried out at that particular, and these are the reasons. So that record gives you an idea of how your equipment are faring and how much you are taking care of your equipment or your assets. Key consideration, your physical asset and inventory. In planning for the facility maintenance, you need to identify all assets. When I say all assets, it must be what you have agreed with the tenant. When you go into a facility, there are some facility that you take over all the services, including security, HSC, every services. That is total facility management. There are some that are not total facility. Some might give you just soft service. Some might say, okay, handle AC maintenance, handle water treatment and sewage treatment. Don't worry, we have somebody that is taking care of our generator. So all the ones that are listed in your SLA are the ones you must take care of, unless the contract says you should oversee every activities, whether it is your company or not your company. Then identify the inventories. When you talk about inventory for your generator, you must have all the part numbers of each component that if it goes wrong, you can easily order for it using your part number. You must have inventories. When you go to big places like Chevron, Shell, manufacturing sector, they have inventory of all equipment parts because the equipment run more like 24 hours. Some are meant to work 12 hours, while they will shut down, switch to the other generator for another 12 hours if PACN is not fully given in that area. So what do? They have inventory of all these things. You must identify, because if you don't have inventory, the generator filter has fault. when you send a request to your vendor, they will ask you, can you give us the part number? The part number, because they have generator filter of different sizes. So they must know the specific one your system needs. If you don't have that inventory, you will see that you spend a lot of time communicating on replacing just one component. And this can have direct impact on your services provided for that site. Determine what will be included in the maintenance plan. After you have gotten all these resources at your fingertips or at your disposal, you now need to what do I need or what do I need to remove? Sometimes you can have a very robust AC plan, maintenance plan. Don't forget, there are some AC that involve chiller. And a chiller system, you need to go for a bigger pressure washing machine. A bigger one, not the one you use to pressure wash your small AC. So there are some other things you need to put into consideration when you have done your robust planning. So module 2, we are entering a maintenance planning process. Compile an asset register. A facility manager needs to know and have a record of assets in order to choose a maintenance strategy. Asset register, we talked about it briefly when we started. Asset register are registers that contain the asset that you have within your building. Asset is things of value, things that you can use to generate money. It could be your lift, it could be your car, it could be your AC, it could be your generator, anything that is of value to you, that is bringing you revenue, that is generating fund for you, will be tagged of your asset. So on your asset register, you must have them as a list. Because sometimes a client might ask you, we want to dispose most of our things on site. Can you please give me record of all the AC? You see facility manager, something they should have done from the beginning. They will not start going, how many bulbs do I have here? They will not start counting. After they've been in the building for about 4 to 5 years, some even 1 year. Oh, how many chairs do we have? They now start taking record. Your asset register is supposed to have all those records. An estimate maintenance budget. Estimate. You should have an estimate. Why we said estimate? Nigeria is an hyper-inflated market. You might fix a price today, then the price goes up. So you try to figure an estimate, then work with a known inflation rate when you are doing your budget, making reference to the previous year and planning for the future budgets. So you must consider your inflation rate. So if your record is showing, maybe your budget for last year is about 1 million naira, for example, for a particular asset. When you are doing budget for next year, you can do a little bit markup of 5%, then check up CBN page for the recent inflation record. If it is 10%, 20%, factor those into it. Then put a clause under your contract that this price is subject to present inflation rates. But if you are doing an annual budget, you now need to know how Nigeria market works. So your finance team should be able to guide you there. But if you have an idea, instead of using 10%, you can decide to use 20 or 25% because you are making projection. So if they are saving at the end of the year, be very sincere with your client that we plan for 25 at the end of the year. We plan for 25% inflation increase, but at the end we only got 15. This is the saving for this. Then you return their money back to them, or you keep it in the contract, in a finance pocket. Then what is an asset register? These are the 3 types. Asset register could be defined as a record of organization assets. A record that clearly identifies all owned assets. Help in tracking assets. Any record that help in tracking what? Asset. You see down there are barcode. Some people use barcode to identify, and that barcode is mainly used if you go to ShopRite or any shopping mall. If they are selling anything, you see them, they will turn whatever you are selling and scan the barcode, and that barcode give you price. So that can actually be used to push for all the assets within your building. Once you scan, you get the name of your asset. So this asset go into record that is with you. You can use your Excel sheet to put it if you don't have money for an electronic type that can keep stock of your asset. Then the other advantage of asset register is that when you give out an asset, you tie that asset to the person you gave it out with. So if the asset is missing, you can get the date the asset was given. You can tell the condition which the asset was given out. And when the asset is being returned, you can also get the person that done damages to that asset. So record help you to work more effectively. Then the other thing you need to know about your asset is that maintenance scope. A document that outlines maintenance activity, that is the maintenance scope, different from asset. Asset is just the record of all your assets. The scope states what you need to do on your maintenance activities, work to be performed under maintenance contract. You see, under maintenance contract, probably not all things are to be maintained. Work broken down into specific what? Tasks. Define activities specific to a maintenance contract, because there are some contracts that will tell you do this and don't do this on a particular asset. Clearly define client expectation. What are the expectations of your client? Your generator should not break down. So you must put things in place to ensure that is met. Describe any activity showing deliverables and milestones. Help in smooth functioning of activities. Then it avoids conflict in a contract. First of all, you brought up a contract. You brought up a vendor to site to maintain your generator. There's no signed contract between you and the vendor. You are already in a big mess. If something should go wrong, the vendor only uses his assumption to do your maintenance plan. And you have another assumption, thinking this is what the vendor is doing. Then when there is an issue, that is when you know that you guys are totally two parallel lines. There's nowhere you guys will meet. So you see argument coming from a lot of contract. That's why it is clearly stated, you must have a contract. Sorry to use this example. It's something that is similar. If you notice in the music world, the popular twins that we know, Peter and Paul, they are having issue now, and that issue has led to litigation. They are in court presently. Why? There was no signed contract of how money to be dispersed. So these are brothers at each other's throats. You can imagine. So your facility could be subject to this also, because if you default, your vendor can actually sue you to court and you pay big for damages. So let there be contract. If your company is big enough to have a legal team, they could help you to put a contract in place. Send a copy to the vendor. Let him read and understand it, then sign. And there must be a date for signing. And there must be a portion for you as a company. If you are the representative of your company, there must be a place you must sign, because those documents will actually save you from a lot of damage. If you have a cleaning company, you must have a contract. You have a STP person, that is sewage, you must have a contract. If you are having a staff on site, you must give him a job scope. His job scope clearly telling what he needs to do and what he does not need to do. Please don't forget that. Maintenance scope components. The component for your scope, the objective must be clearly stated. What are the deliverables? What must we do? Work procedure, how do we do this? Maintenance schedule, what is the frequency of your maintenance? Timeline, how often should this be done? Cost, what is the cost for the maintenance? A quotation must be gotten from the vendor, subject to renewal every year. There must be signed level agreement, service level agreement between you and the person to execute it. In as much as you have this SLA with your client, you must also have that with your vendor. It could be a 2-3 page with all the things they need to do. You understand? Then maintenance requirement. What are the things you require? When somebody is coming to maintain, you must tell them the level of maintenance you need. The unit must be pressure washed. The filter must be washed. Then in the contract, you could also tell them every 6 months, the filter must be replaced. So your contract can be designed in any way that suits you. You understand? So that is that. Then conduct facility conditional assessment. So this can be done before you take up a contract, or during taking up a contract, or after a contract is taken, you have taken a contract. So what is facility conditional assessment? The process of carrying out analysis of an asset condition. Involve a team of one or more experts scoping defects. So what you do when you are carrying out condition assessment, by yourself, you cannot tell the condition of an equipment. Like I said, you can use an in-house or use a vendor base. If you are using a vendor based, the vendor can help you to do the assessment of the equipment. Based on his assessment, he can give you a quotation. And if you are using an in-house, you must have measuring device to be able to check and do the needful. Then the purpose of conditional assessment, facility condition assessment, determine the present building deficiencies. Deficiencies are things that can affect functionality of the asset. Develop cause for remedial action. The cause can be gotten from your vendor. Make informed decision regarding potential hazard. Anything that can cause damages to the equipment, loss of life, you need to flag that up. Provide a benchmark for building present condition. Benchmark is that you can go around that particular location where you are that have similar building, similar generator, check. You can benchmark what you are doing with their own and see whether you are what in line. Plan project for maintenance, repair, and renewal. In the process, once you have gotten all the condition of the equipment, you can now plan for either repair, replacement, or what renewal. Make informed decision on resource allocation, either in-house. If it is in-house, you use your procurement. If it is outsourced facility, you make use of their quotation. Improve on forecasting of the facility renewal. It gives you an idea of the facility what renewal. If it's going to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, that gives you an idea. Determine maintenance requirements. Reduce the fire maintenance backlog. So your conditional assessment also give you history of how the previous FM or previous FM company have been treating that particular asset. So you can make corrective measures after your own conditional assessment. That is FCA, that is conditional facility conditional assessment. First of all, review previous maintenance record. Provide useful information for maintenance planning. Provide information on previous maintenance action. This can be gotten most especially if you are taking up a facility from an old facility company or existing facility you are taking over. You must ask for information. You must have for the maintenance record and the action taking place that must have taken place. Help with budgeting for future maintenance activities. From record you gotten, you might see the quotation and the rest. You use that to plan for yours. Give history of equipment condition. You see when the equipment was installed, then the number of times it was maintained, who maintained it, and if you want to use that person, you can invite the same company to maintain, or you replace the company. Review future potential problem and cost. So because of your condition assessment is so robust, it gives you an idea of problems and it gives you an idea of the cost that needs to be spent. Indicates if equipment is overly maintained, underly. When I say overly maintained, there are sometimes when people are buying equipment to test AC, that the equipment is more expensive than the AC. The training for the guys is good, but you are spending so much. At the end of the year, you'll be surprised you are planning too much, you are spending too much on AC maintenance or your asset maintenance. Under maintenance, it is when you are excluding some certain things, maybe because of cost, you are excluding. So that should be. Then properly maintained. That one is the exact things you need. You spend the adequate amount for your maintenance and your equipment is working and serving the purpose to which it is designed for. Preventive maintenance plan. Decide on the asset to be maintained. These are the process you need to follow. Evaluate asset cost for repair and replacement. That one, you can use your procurement to get the cost through your vendor, or you can go to online, get the cost if you have process to purchase directly. Determine frequency of performing the maintenance, level of priority of the asset. There are some assets that need total attention, like your lift. Need total attention, most especially if you have aged people on your site. Then your generator are critical assets. You need to prioritize them. Consult equipment manufacturing manual. If you have difficulty about a particular asset, consult their manual. Determine maintenance tasks from the manual. Assign skill level and labor time for each task. Skill level. Oh, you have different skill level on your site, your technician. Oh, you can handle this, you can do this, you can do that. You need to allocate. Schedule the maintenance route through your planning, your Google Map or your Google Calendar, your A3 paper placed on your notice board. Then weekly plan for maintenance staff. Every week, you need to have meeting with your team, probably on Monday. Discuss what you guys have experienced in the previous week, then what you guys plan for this week. And if there are issues that they've observed, they can easily let you know. Create weekly plan for maintenance tasks. Create a plan for reactive maintenance need. Train maintenance personnel. Most of the time, our FM companies fail to do this one particular task. They do not train our personnel. And in not training your personnel, you have failed totally in your responsibility, because those your staff could also be potential hazard, could be a potential accident, and could be a source of destroying equipment that you bought with expensive price. Then put safety measure in place. I've talked about safety sign. All those are very important. Then you must put for EHS on your site on regular basis. Then there must be availability of what they call safety data sheets. There are some things that require chemicals, like your diesel, like your petrol, that is your gasoline. All those things need what? MSDS. They can also be, this safety data sheet can also be called MSDS. That is material safety data sheet. That safety data sheet are safety procedure you need to follow in case that gas is released, in case that the gas or the oil is poured on the floor where you have lawn. What do you need to do? Or if your staff is exposed to this chemical, either you are going to use water or you are using warm water, it gives you the procedure you need to do to further save that staff from passing on to the above or to the beyond. Then we have what they call job safety analysis. Before a task is done on site, you must analyze the safety of that particular task. If not, you will have issues. Then we have work permits. More than 50 to 70% of most of our facility in Nigeria do not use work permits. I only see work permit used in corporate organization. So if you don't have that, you need to develop one on your side. You must give authority for a particular thing to be done. That work permit give instruction that a particular vendor can go ahead and carry out a routine task. Your staff in-house can also carry out a work that requires work permit. While you are doing work permit, you do what they call job hazard analysis. And in that job hazard analysis, there are some hazards that you can avoid, and there are some you cannot avoid. During this process, you now need to use your PPE to carry out tasks you know you cannot avoid. Like your hand glove, you need your hand to work on site, and you need to touch electrical cables. You use your rubber hand glove. And you're a cleaner on site, you need to do some cleaning, and in some places, you don't want to be touching some dirty places like your restroom, your kitchen, washing and the rest. You wear your disposable hand glove. Then for an electrical person, you make sure you wear your safety shoes, you wear your coverall, wear things that will protect you. So this document, you must have it on site. Establish process for tracking your maintenance activities. Develop a maintenance activities tracking system. To provide needed information, you need scheduling labor, material costs, and tools. Labor could be your staff and what? Your outsourced vendor. The materials needed to carry out the sites, did you outsource totally to the vendor, or you are the one buying the material? Or if you are using in-house, you buy the material, then your staff install. Then do we have available cost for it? Then what tools is needed to carry out these tasks? Maintenance checklist. It enables facility manager maximize efficiently. So the checklist, after the checklist is submitted to you by your team, checking it, you see areas of need that you need to attend to before it leads to an escalation. And get all maintenance tasks done, because checklist points in the direction where failure is noticed or impending failure is noticed. The starting point for routine maintenance, the checklist, when you see that every time they talk about a particular component going bad or making noise, you know that maintenance time is drawing closer. Used to inspect facility in logical sequence. So you know what you need to do because the checklist is well itemized. You know what to do. Either it's electrical cable that is leading to that sound, you now need to do the needful. Then provide detailed list of facility different parts. You must have list of every different part. Just imagine you are an FM in offshore. You are always on top of water 24/7. You work 1 month on, 1 month off. You must have a set of all the things that can go wrong and make sure you have them in stock. Aid a facility manager during what? The maintenance planning. It indicates the frequency of maintenance what? Activities. The item on a maintenance checklist will vary depending on maintenance strategy being adopted. A preventive maintenance checklist will vary from a predictive maintenance checklist. The reason being that the former involves taking equipment out for service for maintenance so that a larger problem does not occur. There are some equipment that sometimes you cannot maintain on site because you don't have necessary tools. You need to take them out. The latter involve the monitoring of equipment to determine when maintenance will be carried out. Those ones like filters, like a capacitor that is having issues, those are things that you can measure on site and know it's time for their what? Replacement. We have computerized record and reporting that they call MMS, that is computer maintenance management system. Record and report maintenance activities. Scheduling maintenance activities. Maintain and manage maintenance work requests effectively. So what we are talking about, instead of using paper, Google Calendar, or whatever, you have on your system, if your company can afford it, if you buy it, it has all these things in them. So is the one that will send mail, send you a text message if it has been programmed to send text message to notify you when a particular asset is having issue. Some will be tied to their building management system, BMX. So they could inform you when a particular maintenance needs to be done or when one part is failing to work. Then prioritize maintenance work. Manage resources, because when you view things in computer, you see a larger view of what the asset represents, the condition of the asset, what has been done, what is being done, and what you plan to do. Managing resources, benchmarking set SLA and KPIs. In as much as you are keeping record of all this, you still need to benchmark with similar assets in other sector or building that is around your location. Maintenance task requirements. Task work status. Analyze recorded maintenance data. Sometimes you can generate a report. You can create a graph in a more presenting way to give your stakeholder meeting. Produce maintenance report. You just generate. You can tell the system to give you report on this asset for the next 5 years. It will generate it. If you are using paper, you will see that you start opening all kinds of box folder. You start doing a lot of work, writing and typing. It gives you a lot of stress. Then a controlling of maintenance what? Costs. Generate maintenance report and historical data. So that is what this CMMS does. If you are opportune to be in a bigger organization and you know they can afford it, please push for a business case to them, tell them why it is needed, and you give it like that. There are some that are Massimo. Some of us that have used Massimo. Massimo is another software that does exactly like the CMMS. Then module 3, we are now in monitoring and evaluation. Miracle, please confirm, are we going to have break or we run it through? Hello, is she there?
Yes, I will have break by 6:30.
By 6:30, what is the time now? Just 2 minutes.
We can go on it now.
We
So
can go on
after
it
5
now.
minutes. Yes.
Okay, we'll come back around 6:35, right?
No, 6:33.
Okay, 6:33. Okay. So we'll be for break for 5 minutes now before we start this other class. So you can be on mute.
Hello, is it my network? I can't hear anything. Hello.
We are on break. We are on break.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, are we back? Hello?
We are here, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so let me go ahead. So module 3, we are taking monitoring and evaluation. So monitoring and evaluation. What is monitoring and evaluation? Tools that ensure maintenance are executed as planned. Used to assess maintenance action effectiveness. Then monitoring involve providing feedback on maintenance activities progress. Identifying maintenance problem. These are the definition you can get. You can fashion your own. Monitoring is just to check and ensure that this thing is being done as planned. Then taking corrective action on the identified problem. Because when you monitor something, you understand, what do? You take corrective action. A good example is your car. When your car overheats, it gives a signal on your dashboard. Dashboard is telling you overheat. What do? It's either you park the vehicle, allow it to cool off, or you ensure that when you get home, you do a thorough maintenance of your radiator to further reduce that, remove the water, replace. At least the monitoring gives you an idea of what you are checking and what you need to do. Evaluation involves addressing maintenance plan strengths. After you have put all these things together, you need to evaluate. How often have my team been able to maintain AC without any impact? For over 2 years, I've been running this FM on this side. I've never had any complaint, meaning all your plan you put in place are effective. But evaluation also points out some lapses. Either a particular vendor always come late, or they do a shady work. There's always complaint and a callback after a particular task has been done. Assessing the identified maintenance problem. Assessing the effectiveness of the maintenance activities. Review maintenance record. Then setting up method for corrective action. So these are things you need. Monitoring, then evaluation. Evaluation to see how you are doing. The monitoring and evaluation, the process of monitoring and evaluation involves stakeholders identification, selection of evaluator question. Sometimes you might want to create a survey. Either you use this survey monkey, there are different types. You can use Google form. Send to all your clients to get feedback on your performance. You could tell how is our team performing concerning this particular activity. It could be a survey from your team. You understand? So it could be a survey from people using your particular services. You understand? So those feedback gives you a better view of what you as an FM you are not seeing. Because you might think everything is all fine, not knowing that somebody just noticed that each time they finish maintaining your AC, there's always noise and water dripping out. He didn't tell you because he felt that it's a normal way you people maintain. But through your survey and through that feedback, you know whether your client and your vendor is the one making that mistake or your staff making that mistake. Then you can put a checkmate or a corrective measure in place to check it. Allocation of resources must be available when you are monitoring and doing evaluation, but some require you to use money. You understand? So if you want to make it more professional, there are some that you need to print out copy, print and send to people. Some you need to send via email. You understand? To your clients, it takes their time, if not money. Time might be involved for them to give you a survey. Then it will require you time to put all this analysis together to give a table to see how you guys are faring on your services. Establish the scope. Involve what? Clarifying what should be monitored and evaluated. Not everything is to be monitored, evaluated, but all those critical assets must be under these two items, monitoring and evaluation. Set up monitoring and evaluation plan. What forms the plan? Establish what? The method of data collection and analysis. Yes, on site, your generator, you can collect data from your generator. So if you are lucky to have building management system, you can actually get most of those data from your building management system. But if you don't have, you can do your manual record. and use Excel sheets to do your data analysis, then use your PowerPoint for your presentation. Set up monitoring and evaluation plan. Okay, we have talked about the established method for data collection and analysis. Then stakeholders involvement. Stakeholder could be people that owns the property. Stakeholders could be shareholders. It could be any person that owns that property. So you must involve them in it. Whatever you have gotten as, you must share with them, because some of your feedback might involve replacement or a repair. You understand? Some might be capital projects that might be involved. So you need to carry them along. Develop a communication process. Once you have identified those analyses, how do you communicate this back to them? Usually we use an email to push this back, or you do your monthly report or your weekly report. So some can be quarterly report with the client, depending on your site needs or situation. Then set reporting line. So if it is a quarter, you must ensure that at the end of that quarter, or at the beginning, or just a week or 2 weeks after the end of that quarter, a report is sent to your client. Then analysis is done, then decisions are taken. Maintenance record. These are another valuable things that I've narrowly talked about in my before now. So what does it need? Every maintenance plan needs to have a record. If you are in a facility that starts from the scratch, you must ask for all manual relating to all assets you are going to become maintaining. You must create a file for all the assets. Your generator must carry the manufacturing date, the date it was commissioned, who commissioned it, the company responsible, and list of all the parts. So your record must carry all these things with part numbers. What are maintenance records? Written notes that provide documentation about the upkeep of a certain piece of equipment. Keeping an adequate log of maintenance activities is considered a good business practice. You need to train your guys that once they finish a maintenance, please write this down on this, write this down. Some could have a pre-printed work orders for your maintenance plan, because after you finish your maintenance plan, the occupant or your client must sign that that maintenance actually took place. If that signature is not there and somehow you miss a maintenance plan, you might lose that contract. Your company might lose that contract after they've done their analysis. So you must ensure your clients sign, records are well kept, and record is taken, and names of who took that thing is taken. The date it was carried out must be taken. If there are issues on repairs that was discovered, it must be written down in that work order. Records are particularly useful in maintenance management because it ensures the equipment are kept in good condition, offer a way to manage and track what repair, then preventive upkeep expenses. Sometimes it reduces expenses. So, sometimes when you go to your record, you have made purchases of capacitor, compressor of the same capacity 1 or 2 years back. You can check the trends of increase. And if you bought something maybe 2 years ago at 50,000, a year before that, maybe at 70,000, and somebody is now calling 300,000 for you, you could fault that quotation. If you know that there will be increase, not this maximum increase that you are giving us. So that could be a saving guide to guide you on decision taking on quotations. Maintenance record, work order, action tools, capturing and tracking. That is what it takes. Some sites are liable to, some sites have what they call work order. Work order is a document, either hard or soft, that capture the activities to be carried out. The work orders are pre-designed by every company with their logo, showing the date, who is to carry out the work, and the activities to be carried out will be written on it, either type or handwritten. Then they have a portion where the occupant will sign that that work actually took place. Because when you are paying, some clients are stubborn enough, they will tell you, when did they sign, that they didn't sign any document. You bring out the document showing the date, the time, and the occupant's signature. So that saves you from a lot of arguments. Equipment history files. Your maintenance record also show you history of a particular asset. Verifying facility inventories. Inventory, sometimes you might just want to double check the kind of compressor, the kind of refrigerant, the kind of diesel a particular generator use, the kind of oil it's used, the type of filter it used. Because you have a set of inventory and record in place, it gives you an idea of what you need to do. Sometimes you might want to do an upgrade on your swimming pool. Men looking at your swimming pool, you don't know the capacity of the swimming pool. Yeah, you start using mathematics. Okay, length times breadth times height. You now discover that it is smaller at one point and bigger at some other point. How do you know the depth of the swimming pool? But if you have the manufacturer record in your swimming pool file, you can actually extract all those things there. You want to replace an AC. AC name has been washed off the AC. The outdoor own tool has been washed off. You don't know the capacity of the AC. Your record is a good place for you to make references and get precisely the capacity to be replaced. Annual PPM schedule. It also contains record of what you have done for previous years and the frequency of your maintenance that have been what? Carried out. Record management. The professional practice of managing the record of an organization throughout their life cycle, because that record gives you the time the equipment was brought, when it was installed, by who installed it, the number of repair it has been, the number of times compressor was changed, the capacitor that was changed, the filters that were changed, the number of companies that have done the maintenance, and the one you have sacked, and the new one you have brought in. It shows you all this record. And you seeing all these details, it gives you an idea of the next step of action. Whether we are replacing this equipment, if you see the cost over 5 years, every year you see about 100% increase in repairs of a particular AC. You can decide, do a business case, write to your stakeholders or your boss and say it's time to replace this equipment. From the time they are created to their eventual disposal, I've explained this. It involves identifying, that is the record management, classifying, then storing. Identify the asset, classify the asset, then you store it. It could also involve securing, retrieving, and tracking. When we say securing, the equipment information are kept in a very good place. They can be retrieved, and you can use them to track. If you have 100 AC in a particular place, through your record, somebody told you that you only have 80. From your record, you can actually track each of the AC, where they are installed, and you can identify every other ones too. Destroying and permanently preserving your record. Sometimes some records are taken into archive. They give you time where record can be destroyed. Then permanently preserving this. The record can either be permanently be kept in your archive, or they will be destroyed. If they are documented, you need to shred them. Standard company have shredded machine that shred every record into pieces before what? Disposal. Because if that is not done, you see your company logo. The recent one they just disposed with Mama Alakara just around the corner. You might not want that to occur because vital information might be leaking out to the public. That's why a shredding machine is needed in every facility. Purpose of maintenance record, why they are kept. A maintenance record can be invaluable in assisting service technician with diagnostic repeated problem with a machine or vehicle. When you notice a particular problem always occur in a particular building, a particular flat, in a particular room, you have history of that equipment, you could advise that that equipment be replaced. Good record help ensure that pieces of equipment is performing in line with any manufacturer warranty. If the equipment you just bought, not up to 6 months, is failing, because you have a record, you can actually know the time you bought it. You can actually use that to demand for what? for your replacing of that equipment. Help to track when a piece of equipment needs to undergo preventive maintenance. That one is easy and straight to the point. Purpose of maintenance record. Keeping machinery in good working order is one of the best ways to protect it as an investment. And documenting that care can make the equipment more desirable if it's ever sold, since there is a proof that it was properly serviced. There are some people that knows how to keep an asset. When they sell that asset, they can gain almost close to the price of the asset when they are selling off, because it is well maintained. There are some, you know, when you go to the market, you'll be hearing London use, you'll be hearing European use and the rest. It is because they kept those things well. That's why you are buying it. If a good example is your car. If you want to buy a car and the body is defective, your mechanic will tell you not to buy, even if the car sound very well, because the body is defective. But if the equipment is well taken care of, even if there are one or two things internally that is wrong, you see that you pay bigger price for those equipment. So your maintenance record also serve as a proof that you follow the warranty process in keeping that equipment, and it could also be attached in claiming a new equipment for a damaged one under the warranty period. Thorough record can also be a buffer against liability. Sometimes when you have issues that has to do with court, issues that has to do with lawyers, you could also use proof of your maintenance record as a plan that this thing is well maintained. Maybe you bought a generator for about 50 million and you saw that after some years, they gave you warranty of 2 years, the generator is not working well. You can actually return the generator back with this thing. And if the company is not certified, they take you to court, you have a document to show that the procedure stated in their manual was followed. And you can use that to claim back your warranty equipment. If a company gets sued in relation to a faulty piece of equipment, detailed record can be essential in reporting the company's case and showing that there was due diligence done on that equipment. Benefit of performing maintenance and keeping record. Prevent expensive repairs. Establish individualized maintenance program. Increase ease of warranty claims. Increase safety. It increase identified trend across makes, model, or component. If you have record of different AC you have installed in your building, through history, you can actually determine if a particular brand is of quality. And if you need to buy, you might want to take your decision in buying a particular brand. Probably you bought the equipment over 5 years. You've not had any serious major damage to that equipment. Whereas some equipment you bought, within 1 year, you have repaired to 4 times, 5 times. So your decision as an FM is that, please let us not buy this equipment. It will give us problem. Let us go for this brand. So your maintenance record gives that idea for you, give that understanding and help you to make that decision. Better understanding of your asset. You have a proper view of all your assets because you have a record that guides you. You might not be in a facility, but because there is a record in place, you can actually check and see that this equipment, when it was brought, who installed it, then what is the warranty period on it, the number of repairs. It gives you all the details on that asset. The record should document what type of work was carried out. So when you are documenting, you need to give procedure for your technician, your vendor to have record on the equipment so that you can extract it. First of all, we talk about asset register. You need to give some kind of numbering to your equipment. So when they are giving asset register, you need to have that record on it. And in having that record, what do you have? You need to state the problem that equipment have. Is it capacitor? Is it compressor? Is it a pipe leakage? Is it a lack of poor maintenance? what you observe, you must clearly state it. So you must give that procedure. Who perform the maintenance activities must be stated. If possible, phone number must be written. When any inspection or equipment testing takes place, the record should reflect whether the inspection or testing follow manufacturer guideline. So, like I said, when there is an inspection, your record should carry details when it was inspected by who. Then, did they follow the manual that the manufacturer have issued for that equipment? So you need to do all those things. Maintenance record procedure, make an inventory of all the equipment, parts, include any item that needs to be periodically inspected or repairs. Assign a tracking number for each item. Decide on keeping record manually or electronically. Most companies prefer manual, but presently, most people are going automatic, going into the cloud, which will be an mechanically type. So what that is saying, if you have MMS on site or you have your Mazimo or whatever, all you need to do, you collect data from your guys, then record of inspection, name and time the person came to inspect, you just feed it in and you save it. That goes direct into your cloud. So that is the automatic type of record, or you might want to use the manual if you don't have the phone. Keep a backup copy, whether manual or automatic. So what they are talking about is sometimes if you keep the hard copy in a pile, you could have incident of fire. The fire might burn out all the equipment there. You will not have trace to this. So you must have a backup. That backup could be in form of record that you save online. And it could be a form of record that you keep on your software, the MMS. You understand? Those could be a soft backup. Or you can combine it, having hard copy and soft copy. Then always have scan copy that you can keep in your folder if you are keeping a hard copy. You have a scan copy that you can keep in what? Your folder. Then ensure you always back up all your files on your company's OneDrive, if they have OneDrive or Google Drive. Update record whenever work is performed. Anytime a particular task is done, you must ensure the record is kept. Record keeping guideline, filling system. A good filling system permits easy, economical, and efficient organization, maintenance, and protection of the document. Reflect the function of the office it serves. Have a structured numerical or alphanumeric reference system. Like what they are trying to tell us here, when you go to your office, all your box file must be well atomized. At the bulk file where you will keep it, the name should show air conditioning. Then the one for generator should show generator. Then the one for lift, swimming pool, sewage treatment plant, all the assets you are maintaining. So that when you are looking for things in generator, you can easily pull out box file for generator. Don't have one general file for all of them. It could take you a lot of time to retrieve. Then also train your staff on how to keep record, because sometimes the most recent one are supposed to be at the top, but they will mix it with the old one. So you thereby waste time to retrieve it. If you are passed through our ISO will give you guidelines on how files are to be stored on site. All documents on file should bear the file reference number. There must be a reference number. File title should clearly identify file content. File should never be generic, such as miscellaneous. When you put miscellaneous, how do we know if this is for generator, AC, water treatment plant, diesel, and the rest? Let it not be miscellaneous. If you want to create a bus file separate for diesel, you can separate it from generator. But don't put a general name that will be confusing. Because if you leave the company, another person coming in might not know how you are storing, then it will find it difficult to trace files. Then file cover should be printed to permit the title, references, date of opening and closing of the file. Documents should be filed in a reverse order. You understand, from the newest to the oldest. A new file should be opened if a subject developed, rendering the original file title inaccurate. If you are doing a maintenance plan for a particular generator, you don't need to be recording all maintenance on a particular document. Once you have finished that task, you have closed it, another time you are doing another maintenance, put it in a new file, in a new paper that you need to store in your box file. Don't lump them in the same sheet all together. A new file should be opened. Okay. File should be closed when the business to which they relate has been completed. A file should be closed. When a maintenance starts on Monday, you open that file, follow all the procedure we have laid there, the reference, how you are going to write, the number of the person carrying out the service, his phone number, and every detail you observe. When the work finishes by Friday and you see that everything is okay, you must put on that work completed. Date must be stated by who. It's possible if you are sourcing, the person that started the work might not be the person that completed the work. So you might want to put different names there. Retaining records. The record retention schedule. Name the content and purpose of each record series. Prescribe the necessary retention period. Some records are kept for 3 years, some 5 years. And after 5 years, you need to move them to your archive. The retention periods will range from immediate destruction or destruction after a period of time to a permanent retention. You know, the issue of permanent retention, you might discover that if you are running a big site, you might have difficulty in storing file because you have no space. So most files that are not needed after 5 years or after 10 years, depending on your company policy, you might finally destroy them, shred them, or you burn them. Burning is not allowed, but shredding is the most economic type. Involves specifying the length of time that record must be maintained. That is the retaining record. So these are standard, can be followed on site. But if you are a small site, all this procedure might not be in place. But as an FM, you can introduce all this process so that you run a standard site. Module 5, work orders capturing and tracking. Work orders capturing and tracking. What is work management? It involves creating, qualifying, dispatching, and executing a request for off-site work called work order. Sometimes you receive an email. Sometimes you receive a call through your admin or your call center that a particular work needs to be done. How do you execute this? The work order. You ensure that you already have a work order probably designed by your company, or some are actually designed. Some are informed. They have this, one sheet has about 3 papers. They have the yellow, the blue or the pink type, and the white type. You understand? So that every person can have, you have a copy in your file, you have a copy to the vendor, a copy to your client, then the one in your file remains your copy. So the essence of work order is that once a request comes, you must have a document as form of agreement that a request was received on so-so date from so-so person via an email to do so-so work at so-so time. Then a cost will be sent to that client, and that client must approve before the work order is turned into requisition. So the step and function of the work order lifecycle work together to ensure that the site is issued are resolved in the most efficient and efficient manner possible. So what work orders ensure that there's an agreement between you and the person that requests. So once that agreement has been established, you now resource either your vendor or your staff to carry out that service. So it's a document that can save you from stress or problem later. Creating a work order. This involves gathering the initial information about the work that needs to be done, The initiator of the work order, determine the nature of the work problem, provide all necessary information needed for the work order task. That means you must record what the task, if the request comes, that AC repair leakage, you must state it AC leakage. The location for the AC, is it in the bedroom, on floor this, block this? You must state those information. Identify material and labor required for the work. Is it part of our contract or is it out of scope? Create the task necessary to complete the work order. I sign the work order, then follow up with the work order assignment till work completion. Work orders, sorry, need to move this thing. Yes. Okay. Okay, work order service request approval and approving work order. A work order begins with the service request. This service can be preventive or corrective, maintenance, or any type of facility need. Work order could be also a request to purchase a new gadget, a new equipment, laptop. It could be a phone, it could be a seat, it could be an ergonomic seat, it could be an upgrade. Any request that has to do with work, that request to labor, that is work order. The service can be preventive or corrective maintenance or any type of facility need. When a service request is received, the facility manager raises a work order. Some sites might be admin or the customer care. Forward the work order to the requesting party or client for approval. If you go ahead with a particular order that is not in your contract and you execute the work, there's every possibility that your client might deny you if the costs are very expensive. The client either approve, reject, or cancel the request. There are some work order, if the client sees that the cost is too expensive, he might tell you not to worry, he will call his own vendor to handle it. So not every work order end up as a job or work for you. Approving a work order means that it has been reviewed and it is ready to be qualified for task creation and assignment. Wow. Okay, scheduling the work order activities. Define the schedules of the activities. You need to define the schedule. Sequence of the activity notice specify. Estimate the resources needed for the activities. Do you need a tools? Do you need to buy any consumable? You need to identify. Estimate the duration of each of the activities. Schedule what? The development, the monitoring and controlling the schedule. So what if you issue a work order out, you need to monitor as an FM when the work was done, when it started and when the work was completed. You must monitor because work order, once well managed, could be a source of what? Making money for your company because there might be some management fee included in that job if they are not scoped, if they are not in the budget. Assigning, how to move this again. Assigning personnel, standard process for assigning labor, known the time frame. This involves tracking labor resources and assigning job to the personnel. So once the work order has been approved, you pick up somebody from your team or you call your vendor to execute. Keeping a record of all the maintenance personnel, their craft or trade categories. You need to ensure that you keep record of all the activities, the personnel that carry, because you might have a lot of technicians on site. If the work is done and it's not done properly and no name is given, how do you know who went to do the work order? It brings a lot of problem to you. And the person did a very shady work or a very bad job. So how do you rate the performance of each of your team? So record must be taken. Please take note. Keeping track of labor rates. When you are assigning that or when vendors is quoting, you must take consideration of your labor rate. Are you charging per hour or are you charging per day? So capture and track true labor costs against any equipment. Tracking of skill level and qualification for each resources to help in planning and scheduling of the work order. So module 6, verifying facility inventory. Verifying a facility inventory. What do we mean here? Set standard for facility inventory. CMMS, that is computerized maintenance management system, help to effectively control the supply and flow. You see, when you have something imputed in your computer, it gives you a stressless life, because everything is on record. Everything is online. You can easily retrieve, you can easily see who you have assigned and the rest. So the CMMS help to effectively control and supply the flow of parts and equipment, because from your CMMS, you can actually track all equipment parts that you have previously installed. You can check their quantity, you can check their history, you can know their reordering level. You can also know who is giving this equipment out. Maintenance department can set standard for inventory using CMMS. A major aspect of effective controlling part and equipment supply is setting minimum reordering level. Now you are in a facility, you have about 100 staff in a building, and you buy close about 200 bottled water, and they use water every day. As an FM, you must know the weather. Now that it is raining, you see that the consumption of water is reduced. But if it is sunny and your ACs are not working well, your water will suffer a lot. So if you see that at the middle of the month, 100 bottled water have been consumed. In 1 week, about 80 has been consumed. Before you know it, before the month runs out, the entire water have been consumed. You don't have reordering level. So if you check how your site perform, you can tell your team the reordering level will be at 120. Once water has been consumed up to 120, let us start making another order for water. Once it gets to 80 that is on ground, 120 has been consumed. So you must know about the ordering level. This has to do with your diesel. This has to do with your petrol. It also has to do with your parts. If you have where you store parts and you are using the part almost every time, you need to set a reordering level for those equipment. Then set minimum reordering level, ensuring each inventory item is restocked before it is what? Exhausted. Inventory documentation. Documenting inventory usage is of utmost importance. Documentation is commonly overlooked, and the only time it seems to be needed is when things go wrong. Sometimes you work in a very big company, you reorder for a refrigerant gas, or you order for diesel. You are not keeping record. You are just using. Before you know, you have depleted it. There's no PACN. Your generator cannot start because you don't have diesel, because you don't have set reordering level on your inventory. What happened? Major failure, major escalation on site. So that will commonly happen for those that don't have reordering level. Then documentation enable a facility manager to know which item is available in store. Sometimes you use that inventory to monitor what you have, what you have brought in, what has been used, and what is left. Know when to restock. It also enables you to know when to restock, because when you are ordering up to a particular level, the system will show you red, telling you need to restock. If the equipment is red, because these are things you set. If the equipment and every asset is working fine, you see everything is green, meaning you are in order. Everything is working smoothly. Then you can also use this, your inventory, to take history of a particular event and of a particular equipment that is frequently used and equipment that are rarely used, that you can say, no, we won't buy this equipment and stuff, because equipment that are not used often, they get damaged, they get expired, and they get rusted. And this is a waste to what? To your company. Record tracking and materials. This involves tracking items being moved in or out. Some of our guys are sharp on site. In fact, some people have made money from diesel. Some have made money from some parts that you think they are not there, but because you don't have record to track or monitor, people are removing one of those things and selling on site. Some of your technicians can actually be using some of your material to be servicing their own personal job while giving you a high thank you shake when they come back. Sure, you understand? So your tracking gives you an idea of what you have used, and what you need to restock. So you need to track. So you can tell your inventory manager to always send to you maybe every Monday record of your inventory. That gives you an idea of tracking. Tracking of stocked, non-stock, and special order items. So the tracking also makes you to see what you have stocked, what you don't have in stock, and the special order items that you need. Tracking location of items. You know, when you go to some big store, you see that items are where identified and where stored. A good example to portray this, if you go to a shopping mall like the Palms, you see that when you want to buy a particular electronic, there's a section you go to. You want to buy soap, there's a section you go to. You want to buy water, there's a section you go to. You want to buy beer, soft drink, and the rest, there's a section you go to. So that is a more standard way of arranging inventories. You don't want to put refrigerant mixed with small components, and there are no name given on your tag for your inventories. So when you are having a big stock, you could find a different way of arranging. So you could get some metallic substances to put them on stand that can handle the weight of all your assets or the things you need to store. Put them there with a record on each of the drawer and stay there when it was brought, when it was supplied, when it was restored. You have history of all those things in the inventory card. So I've spoken about location. Record tracking and tools. This involves tracking the use and movement of tools, tracking the condition of tools for repair and replacement purpose. Tools tracking allow work planners to see what tools are in stock and assign tools to various work categories to reduce research effort, because sometimes they might need a particular thing urgently, but because your inventory store is not well arranged, it might take you 2 days to be looking for particular equipment. Sometimes every screw or nut are kept in the same place. The same different sizes are kept in the same place. That is a very wrong inventory arrangement. Every size must be kept in their store, so that when you are looking for 2-inch, you know where to go. You are looking for 4-inch, you know where to go. They must be separated. Where you put your nail, drill bit, drilling machine, your refrigerant gas, your copper pipe, everything must be clearly stated for easy and fast identification. So recording costs, expenses relating to labor and part can also be documented in order to assist with budget forecast. Sometimes when you buy a particular stock or inventory to store, the record you keep gives an idea of the budget of what you have bought 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and the present cost, and you can use that to make plan for the future. Inventory reporting, used to report inventory level and movements in and out of the store. The 3 categories of inventory reporting involve inventory status report. That is the status, review the status of the inventory by location and time. When did this, what is the status of this inventory? Do we have them in stock? Are they getting to restocking level? Are they totally depleted? You need to know. Inventory analysis report. That analysis report tell you, because sometimes when you buy the store to keep, you make more money from it. There are some people that buy a lot of things in stock. Because Nigeria is an hyperinflated market, those things they bought 2 years ago will bring about profit in 2 years' time or this present time, because they will use the recent price to sell those items. So when you are doing your analysis, you can actually calculate your profitability, your turnover, then demand for an inventory. Inventory integrity report. retrieve discrepancies. Sometimes your inventory manager can outsmart you, not putting the right record in place. So that could be dangerous to your inventory because you go into business to make profits, not to record losses. So your inventory integrity report gives an idea of what you need to do and what needs to be captured. Then I think we are done with the class. The assessment. These are things you need to do in class. So this is not something I will have to be explaining to you things. So we are finished. So there will be time for question. If you have question, you can indicate by raising your hand. So I will call you in that order. And if there are no questions, we call it a day. Please, you can go ahead if we have question. And if everything is understood, you can also let me know. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
You
we
can
can.
unmute now. You can
hear you.
unmute now. I'm
Yes,
done
we
with
can.
it.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so do we have question?
Well
I think
understood.
everybody understood the question. You're making me afraid, though. I don't know if you guys got the thing right, and I believe you have learned something today that you are going to implement it when you get to site.
Hello?
So what we do in Max-Migold, do you have a question? What we do in Max-Migold,
Hello?
yes, go ahead.
Okay, my question is, you talk about work order.
Yeah.
And one thing I know about work order is similar to purchase order given by a client to do a particular or to commence on a particular job, why the amount is on it. That is what I understood about work order. But today I think you let us understand another thing different from work order or in addition to work order. Then number two, question I would like to ask again is, who creates SLA? Is it the service provider or the clients by standard?
It depends.
No,
I'll
by
start with the
standard.
second.
By standard.
By standard. That's why I say it depends. So let me explain. There are some companies you go to because the client does not have full understanding of FM. They might leave you to prepare the SLA. Then if they don't leave you to prepare the SLA, they can get a consultant to check all facility assets, all the things they need to look into and prepare an SLA. Usually a lawyer, usually an experienced facility manager, usually a team of people that present the SLA. The SLA remain a document that can be discarded until it is signed by both parties. So the client, even if the SLA is presented by you or the client or a third party, both of you still need to go through each of the SLA. Sometimes review can be done on the SLA where it will favor both parties. You understand? Then there must be a signed date on the SLA and there must be a signed date from the service provider that the SLA become active because the signed document take place. So it could be either of the two of them. So, if you are in like Chevron have standard. By standard, oil company will prepare an SLA and give to you. This is how we want you to maintain our building. But for a small company that is just making money, they don't understand all the things you want to do. Somebody that just called you, come and maintain my building. He doesn't understand the process in lift. So what does he want to write about? You have an understanding. So you can actually put it together. Then you allow him to go through it and show some form of understanding or ask for clarity for where there are complexity in the SLA. Both of you can either do an addendum to the existing one or make a review to an existing SLA. Then what makes it active is when both parties have signed and there are dates stipulated on it. Please, I don't know if I explained that correctly.
It's clear. It's very clear. Then in addition to the first question is, there is something they call two-box meeting. Is it part of facility maintenance and planning? because I think you didn't talk about it. Before you commence a job, like let me give an instance. Before you commence, let me say you are going for a fire hydrant maintenance, or let me say um, um, a fire extinguisher maintenance. First thing, the head of facilitator, or the facility manager does is to talk to the person who want to handle, okay, this and this, explain the HLC. If this thing happen, this is what you're supposed to use, because all these contractors that we bring on board, they are not safety conscious. So this is what you need to do. This is a particular tools you need to use. Are you getting me? So you did. I don't know whether you didn't, because there was a job we did with Egbin Power PLC, and after we have done our submitted all documents, so we were taking a CO2 inside, and the CO2 was not bottled. Are you getting me? It was not bottled. It was not covered. And there is a way they bring it in, which is very wrong, which is against the safety standard. It's supposed to be up, and it was bent. So if anything happens to it, it will trigger. Are you getting me? And it's a power plant.
Yeah.
So the planning was not there. Are you getting me? My HSC manager with the facility manager was doing. So when they get to the plant, so the company the Egbin Power PLC's head of HSC was not educated, and I got a call. So I want to ask, is this supposed to be part of this facility planning that you are talking about, or it will be in another topic entirely?
Yeah, HSC is a full course of its own. So somebody is coming in that will take you that. But as you said, you can, if you are running a very massive place like Egbe, power, this thing where you can have fatalities and you can have damage to expensive equipment. Having induction is the first thing. Then toolbox talk is different from pep talk. All these things are HSC related, but for a facility manager, if you know that these are omission on a particular side, you can also put it as part of your planning. Because if they don't understand anything relating to safety, then there will be impact to all the activities they are to do that day. Just imagine you record a fatality on site. Work will stop. No plan will work that day, or they damage an expensive equipment. There will be a more serious thing. Induction is done to introduce the guy to the workability of all the processes within that particular company. If there are fire or there are emergency, what do? You tell them, go to the muster point, there's no horseplay, and this is how we work, this is what we must do. Then during pep talk is taking a topic on safety and sharing it with your team. Then toolbox talk is narrowed down to the tools a particular vendor will use to execute a task. For a fire equipment service team, you might want to talk about fire extinguisher. You might want to talk about safety thing related to fire extinguisher. You might not want to talk about panel where you are doing. That's why I said pep talk and pick a topic, because I have been involved in one of the projects. We had Shell project in Tunu that I clearly understood all these things. That's why I can explain it to you. We have more than 1,005 that listen to pep talk every morning, and every group give a talk. It could be on thunderstorm, it could be not working during rain, it could be any topic. But they now share us to our various locations. When you get to your location, you will now speak about the tools to work. It could be a ladder. It could be a horseplay that you have observed a previous day that almost caused an hazard on site. So you speak about it. So if you identify that this is needed on your site, please include it in your plan. It's not an omission, because somebody is supposed to take EHS class.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. So yeah, the one that asked question, the rest didn't ask. I believe everybody understood it well. Not just understanding it, please implement. Make yourself different from the old facility manager that you are. That is the essence of the class. You can reach out to me if you want some form of mentoring, guidance, assistance in some other things. You can reach out to me. So you understand. please, we want to create an environment where Nigeria is clean, where everything is done properly, where we have professionals executing their tasks in a way that is a world and global standard. So thank you if there are no questions. So Miracle, I'll be off. I don't think there are questions.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Right.
So much appreciation from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for this one.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Adobe.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
I am
Good
Ejiro
night.
by name. My Ejiro by name, please. Thank you. Okay, now. Bye.
This one is better.